What's going on, guys? It's October baseball playoffs, baby. Today, I'm going to break down my playoff bracket and I'm going to tell you why the Braves repeat. That's right. Here we go. All right, so here we are. We're going to fill out the MLB postseason bracket challenge. I'll walk you through my postseason picks and we'll look at each of the series. Here we go. All right, so first, we've got the Blue Jays versus the Mariners. This might be one of the most exciting matchups in the wild card, to be honest with you. Um, really young teams, high energy, good offenses. It's going to be really exciting. I don't know what the head to head is on the year. I should probably look that up, but I'm just going to go with my gut. The the top three pitchers that the Mariners have are legit, and I'm not trying to knock against the Blue Jays, and they'll be at home, but I've got to take the Mariners in this. I think they found something out in Seattle, and they're gonna win the first round. Going with the Mariners. Next, the Guardians and the Rays. So with this one, the Guardians came out of nowhere to win the Central. They really fought back. Incredible job doing all that. They're playing really good baseball lately. But the Rays, they have the experience. They've done this many times. They got McClanahan going in game one. Got to go with the Rays. All right, jumping over to the NL. Mets, Padres. I think behind the Blue Jays and the Mariners, this is my second most exciting series to watch in the wild card round. Um, the Mets pitching, I mean, everybody knows about it. Padres added these bats. They're trying to be an offensive team. It's going to be real interesting to see how those two power dynamics for each team line up. But ultimately, I've got to go with the Mets. There we go. Almost accidentally with those. And then the Cardinals and the Phillies. Pretty simple here. I think it's got to be the Cardinals. The Phillies could definitely shock. I don't know now that I think about it. If they're able to line up their rotation, which I haven't checked to see who's starting tomorrow, but if the Phillies have Wheeler and Nola going game one, game two, I mean they could shut down the Cardinals in 2 games and take it. I'm gonna have to go Phillies. As much as I want to see Pujols pull it out and make it as far as possible, um, I just think the Phillies pitching steps up and gets the job done. Going Phillies. All right, ALDS. Astros, Mariners. Just got to be honest, I don't see anything shocking happening here. I think the Astros pretty convincingly take out the Mariners and end their historic season. Unfortunately, I'd love to see the Mariners move on, but Astros are going to take them down. I'm going to say in 4 games. I think the Mariners will squeak 1 game out, but the Astros will take them. All right, next, Rays and Yankees. Whew, this is going to be tough. The Yankees played a whole lot better baseball there at the end. Um, they hit a skid for a while, but they definitely came around at the end of the season. I think Judge would have done way more than he did if he would have just been able to hit the last 2 weeks of the season. It almost cost me my fantasy championship, by the way. Just losing his offensive production the last week of the season was brutal for me, but I was able to pull it out. Side note, I'm gonna go Yankees. Leading up to this matchup, that's gonna be good. All right, Dodgers, Mets. Series, LA is going to have home field advantage. LA took the season series from the Mets, I'm pretty sure. But I think the Mets are going to be hungry. I think they're really mad with what happened in Atlanta. I know they played the Nationals to end the year, but after that Atlanta series, they put a whooping on the Nationals. So they're everybody's swinging it really good. They've got their top pitchers. I'm gonna lean Mets. I'm going Mets over the Dodgers right here. The Dodgers have had so much time off too. I mean, I'm a Braves fan. I remember the Braves teams from the '90s and the 2000s when we run 14 in a row and we would lock up a division 20 games before the season was over. You get lazy and you get surprised. These teams that have been in dogfights all year show up and they've been playing not to lose for the last 2 weeks, and the Mets have been trying to do that. So I think that little edge right there is going to push them over. I'm picking Mets. All right, next series. I mean, it's got to be obvious. The Braves have done a really good job against the Phillies this year. We haven't faced Wheeler too many times, but if Wheeler's throwing in the wild card round, there's a good chance that we would only have to face him once in this series. And there's just no way I can give the Phillies the edge in this. I'm going Braves. On to the CS. Astros, Yankees. This is probably the matchup that everyone has wanted to see all year long. Astros versus the Yankees. But if I'm not mistaken, the Astros are 7-1 against the Yankees this year. Just dominated them. Now, they haven't played them in probably 2, maybe 3 months. But the Astros, every time they played the Yankees, just stepped up and I'm just dealt against them. And I think it's going to be more of the same. The Astros, to me, the Astros have been the best team in the AL since probably middle of June. They've just shown it. They've proved it. Even when the Yankees were hot, the Astros may have started their slump when they came into New York and just devastated them. I think the one win the Yankees got against the Astros was a walk-off, a come-from-behind walk-off in the 9th inning. So without that, if the Astros would have gotten 1, maybe 2 more outs, they would have swept the Yankees for the year. So I just don't see the Yankees competing. Astros to the ship. And this, Braves Mets, Braves Dodgers, I don't think you could go wrong with that series. I think it would be tons of hype either way. The Braves and the Dodgers have played the last 2 years in the NLCS against each other, with each of them taking one. So if they did face off, it would be basically a best of 3 series. Get a little bit of bragging rights there. But the Mets obviously want another crack at the Braves, and I think the Braves would be thrilled to face the Mets in the championship series. The Braves, we have always done really, really good against teams' aces. Even when Scherzer was with the Nationals, and you had Scherzer and Strasburg, I mean, we stacked up with them. DeGrom, we've always been able to compete with DeGrom. I know when we played them the last weekend of the season, and DeGrom gave up 3 home runs to the Braves. The last time he gave up that many home runs, it may have been 2 or more home runs, but the last time he did it was also against the Braves in 2019. So the Braves stack up really well against the NL East and their aces. And in a 7-game series, I got to give the edge to the Braves. And I really think, I know it's kind of lame, but I think it's going to be a rematch of last year, Astros versus Braves. The big difference this year is the Astros have Verlander. There was no Verlander last year, and this year they have Verlander, and he has clearly been their ace. There's no question about that. There's a good chance he wins the Cy Young. So that's a big determinant. I think this series comes down to the Braves' bats. The Astros are going to hit. They're going to put up some runs. One thing I will say, one of the reasons we beat the Astros last year is we kept Yordan Alvarez from hitting. He didn't do anything in the World Series last year. So that's going to be a key. But I think the biggest key is whether the Braves' bats are going to show up or not. We've seen it plenty of times throughout the season. The Braves can score a ton of runs off of anybody, and then they can score no runs off of nobody. And so it's just a matter of, is the whole team going to be hitting, or is it just going to be one guy? How are we going to be able to manufacture those runs? I really feel like this is a coin flip as to who could take this, Astros and Braves. But that's the way the World Series should be, right? Should have the 2 best teams, if not 2 of the 4 best teams, just based on how they're playing in October. And I feel like this is the case. On paper, the Braves finished incredible this year. But on paper, I think they were better than what they actually did, just because their first 2 months of the season were so bad. If they would have just played 500, a little bit better than 500 ball the first 2 months of the season, I mean, they would have won 107 to 110 games this year, easily. So, I'm going to be a homer. That's right. Also, Homer was the mascot of the Atlanta Braves. That's who I'm picking. So I've got the Atlanta Braves. I'm going to say in 6 games again. 6 games, Atlanta Braves winning, repeating World Series champions. Man, that would just be incredible. So we're going to hit submit here. Now, we've got our tiebreaker questions. All right. We must also predict the total number of games that will be played during the World Series. So, I just said Braves in 6. We're going 6. How many total home runs do you think will be recorded during all 2022 postseason series? I always struggle with this. Let's see. 6 games in the World Series. Let's say we average 6 games in the championship series. So that puts us up to 18. Let's say we average 4 games in the division series. That's another 16 games. So what, 32? And then we've got potentially 3 games, and 4, potentially another 12, say 10. So let's call it 42 games, probably. I'm going to go with 57 home runs in 42 games. How many runs do you think will be scored during the entire World Series? Okay, so this is just the World Series. How many runs will be scored during the World Series? 6 games. There's a couple fairly high-scoring games last year. Nothing crazy like the Dodgers and Astros, but some good scoring games. Let's see. 6, if we average 5 runs a game, do we think that's a little high or low? I'm going to go with 38. Just pulling a number. 38. There it is. All right. I'm going to put my name in here. All right. Our entry is in. Let's see how it turns out.